Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be recording a quick video off the back of a blog post I wrote and published towards the end of last week, looking at the January 23rd, 2025 update to Google Search Quality Evaluator Guidelines. Specifically, what do these guidelines now currently say and reflect around generative AI and AI content? Well, looking through this, the new guidelines, AI is mentioned 20 times and generative AI specifically 14. So 75% of all AI mentions are focused on generative AI content that Google stands. And it's becoming more and more clear that Google is working to juggle its pro AI stance in encouraging more people to engage and utilize AI products, given the focus in earnings calls and shareholder notes that they have in AI being a good revenue stream for them moving forward, but also trying to manage the abuse of generative AI content, so text, images, as a means to game systems and effectively spam SEO like we used to do in the mid 2000s with things like Unique Article and Wizard and things like that. So, in short, the question is, does Google care if I use AI to write my content? Google's mantra and line has always been um, as long as content provides good value, is useful to users, it doesn't really matter about source. But reading through these guidelines and the updates, my answer is now technically yes, Google does care if you use AI to write content. Now, if we break this down specifically into the different areas Google has, so it talks about the page main content. So main content MC and supporting content SC aren't new concepts. These have been in the guidelines for a number of years, and they're terms which are used interchangeably frequently. So the main content of your page is your value proposition. It's your page's beneficial purpose. The core topic and reason for that page's existence, whether it is text, images, video, audio. Google have been emphasizing the need for the main content to have a high value and a beneficial purpose that matches the user need. A good example of this, and John Mueller has called this out on, I think it was either X or LinkedIn or somewhere, typically a thing in SaaS, for example, is to write an article and say, oh, here are the best 10, I don't know, CDN companies. And number one in that list will be your brand. And you will write War and Peace on that brand, and it'll be a good 70% of the article, and then the other nine will just be piecemeal mentions of the others. Now, the beneficial purpose and value proposition of that article isn't to inform and provide a balanced overview of 10 different CDN providers for the user. It's to try and rank for those terms and position yourself as the best. So that's a switch for in how Google is getting better at understanding value propositions and beneficial purposes for content. So when it comes to AI, Google specifically states, and I quote, the lowest rating applies if all or most of the MC on the page, including text, images, audios, videos, is copied, paraphrased, embedded, or auto or AI generated, or reposted from other sources with little to no effort, little to no originality, and little to no added value for visitors to the website. In most cases, quality is reflected in the effort, so originality and skill put into creating the content. So is this just a regurgitation of every other thing that exists on the internet and therefore an almost duplication of information? Or does it actually show originality, examples, experience? Does it demonstrate a level of uniqueness? Now, I do love this concept now. I know and quote a lot. Rand Fishkin mentioned this in a Whiteboard Friday back in 2016, and he used the example of granola bars and how you need to align with the rest of the cohort. You need to align with consensus around the key elements, but show the same, if not higher, levels of knowledge, depth, and originality to warrant inclusion in the index, or to be seen as an alternative result for key traffic driving positions. So this is about making sure you're matching key areas, but showing originality and value in others. And this goes down to four key things of effort of content, originality of content, the talent or skill. Like, is there enough talent and skill to provide a satisfying experience for people who visit the page, and accuracy. So this is also, in my opinion, why some affiliate sites have started to struggle, where You may review a lot of things which are semi-related, specifically in the travel space. You may review a destination, then you may review a piece of luggage, then you may review an eSIM. Yeah, they're all relevant to a traveller, but if you're producing one article every 2, 3 days and they're all reviews of stuff, when are you actually taking the time to review them? Or do you just not sleep and have a hyperbolic time chamber? Dragon Ball Z reference if anyone watched that, and you just have infinite time basically. So another key element of this, like I mentioned, is paraphrasing. So copying, paraphrasing, embedding, or reposting content does not automatically make a page of lowest quality. Lowest quality rating is only required when nearly all of the main content is copied, paraphrased, embedded, or reposted with minimal effort. So this means you can still do that, but there needs to be additions to it. It can't be that regurgitation. The other side of this as well is that just the fact it's a use of a generative AI tool does not determine effort or page quality rating. So just because it's AI doesn't mean it's bad. Examples of this, you can generate original artwork with significant effort, which can create high quality content. Um, it can also be used to create low quality content, as we see a lot in the abusive and spam spaces. But this has been my opinion why example led content with unique experiences that logically can't be copied by others speak volumes in the content era. If you talk to something which is from experience, it's very, very hard for that to be copied unless somebody else has had exactly the same specific experience at the same time and had the same feelings about it, which is entirely possible, but not likely. And AI can't regurgitate a personal experience in that way. Another key thing I want to kind of segue onto there is just around scaled content abuse. Now, this is mentioned quite heavily in these documents. And when I say heavily, it's got its own section. And essentially, Google says that creating an abundance of content with little effort or originality with no editing or manual curation is often the defining attribute of spammy websites. So this is, for me, 4 categories. This is your low quality doorway pages, duplicate or near duplicate pages, programmatic content, and I say that very purely poorly executed programmatic content, and your mass AI generated content or the AI heists and things like that. Now, doorway pages can still work and have a place if they have effort, originality, and provide value. So oftentimes in local spaces in different areas, but again, this isn't nothing is a black and white. It is X, so therefore it is Y. It is subjective and objective to what is happening. It does cover a lot of areas, like I've just said, but specific to AI use for scaled content, using automated tools, generative AI or otherwise, as a low effort way to produce many pages that add little to no value for website visitors as compared to other pages on the web on the same topic. Um, so regardless of how the content has actually been scaled, Google's guidelines for a long time have been clear that pages and websites made with content created at scale without that originality should be rated the lowest. And this includes AI content. Um, the other interesting thing is just some language use around how Google actually talks about content creation, because it doesn't have to have a definitive this is 100% AI. It doesn't have to have the AI prompts left into it. It isn't just this is 100% AI, but although it's bad. Because Google then to go on to actually say, but even if you are unsure of a method of content creation, this is speaking to the evaluators, by the way. So even if the evaluator is unsure of the method of creation, whether or not it's being used generative AI tools, you should still use the lowest rating when you strongly suspect scaled content abuse after looking at several pages on the site. So this is just that even the suspicion is enough to warrant the score of lowest. When it comes to your money or your life, so YMYL topics, Google's stance is much stricter. It just simply says this is spam, scaled content abuse, and highly untrustworthy medical page. If it demonstrates no real expertise and may not be correct, it is especially concerning for YML topics. In the PDF, in the guideline book itself, it references and shows the example page talking about cancers, and it is literally just a horrendous listicle of churned content with no value. Staying on the content type as well, Google does also mention page FAQ. So I've noticed a resurgence in this in recent months and potentially a couple of years, but people are writing commercial pages, writing blog posts, and then including a 4 or 5 question FAQ section at the bottom of it. to target different keywords and to try and expand reach almost. And Google's stance on this now is a common method for generating scaled content involves gathering questions from sources like Google's People Also Ask feature and answering them with unoriginal paraphrase content, often produced using AI tools. These again are rated as the lowest. So if we are going to do this, we need to actually add value and not just see it as a quick win cheat code of sorts, just to let's throw some question keywords in there and expand that. And naturally, it's not a keyword inclusion mechanism. It just looks spammy and it doesn't help. The final one I wanted to touch on now, this was something which has been a debate ever since people like Bankrate were publicly using AI content and publishing things in the early days of the AI revolution. So I think this was like the start of 2023 or something like that. Google acknowledges that a lot of websites have worked to incorporate AI into their content workflows and believe by being transparent about this process can actually shield them from potential repercussions and maintain user trust. And Bankrate had a very interesting user perception around this. They stopped publishing AI content at one point just based on user perception and trust factors that people were basically outcrying about it. What we're now seeing across a lot of websites is the kind of the authorship section and just going like, oh, created with help of AI, created with help of AI, edited and reviewed by, I don't know, Bob, Sheila, and Derek. Now, this disclaimer is common in whole or in part, but Google has now established a stance on whether or not these statements enforce or diminish trustworthiness. So on page 46 of the guidelines, Google outlines that content is untrustworthy and has the lowest quality justification if the website uses, the website terms of use state that some articles are generated by artificial intelligence and may have errors or be out of date. There is no indication as to which pages this statement applies. The information in this article is not trustworthy and is the lowest EAT. It then goes on to explain that if you have a disclaimer to cover responsibility and liability for the use of interpretation of website content, coupled with the AI disclaimers that things like it's up to the user to verify the content's accuracy, and the website itself accepts no liability or responsibility. Google leads with a statement of the articles on this website should be considered untrustworthy on the lowest EAT. So even if we are going to be doing AI content disclaimers, we need to be specific of, this article specifically was made with this. If we start using blanket statements because it's easier to do a blanket statement, Google quality guidelines now actually say the evaluators are to assume, well, I can't determine what is and isn't AI, so I'm just going to assume it's all bad, which isn't going to be good for the site, isn't going to be good going forward, especially as we're seeing Google reducing how pages on an index and reducing different elements like that, especially around core updates and effectively pruning what it's storing. We're moving further away from that 100% indexed status and have been for a while. And this is just another feather in the cap of Google trying to, like I said, juggle that stance of, yes, use AI, use our AI tools, make our shareholders happy. Also, don't do bad things, don't abuse it, use it responsibly. And because we're still in that resistance meeting chaos stage, we've left the old status quo, we're heading towards the new status quo. It is going to be a bumpy ride as to how we move forward with this. So if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like. Please let me know in the comments your thoughts on this. I will link to the Google Search Quality Evaluator guidelines in the video description. If you enjoyed this video as well, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It does mean a lot. And thank you very much for watching.